Hey guys, welcome to another iWIN Live edition. Tonight, we are honored to have Jason Block, a 7-time game show contestant, also a sweeper, also an iWIN member. So I just want to check out, make sure you guys are hearing me okay. Let me get over to the page and check out, make sure you guys are all good. There we go. You guys hear me okay tonight? We're all good. So we're testing out some new equipment. I appreciate your patience with that. Just wait if somebody can respond. The way the software works, it's actually a little bit on delay. So that's why I'm waiting. Audio and video is good. Awesome. Perfect. All right, let me get back to my screen. So again, I want to introduce Jason Block. He's a 7-time game show contestant. He's going to talk to you a little bit about that. He's going to talk to you about sweepstakes, and then we'll definitely have some time for questions. So as I bring Jason in, let's see. Bring him in and let's give him a little bit of music that he's used to hearing.
There we go. I remember that music. Thank you very much.
I figured it was only fitting that we get you some Doom music there to start with. But hey, Jason, thanks for being on. We've known each other a while now.
Sure. Glad to be here.
Why don't you start off? Jason, by the way, is from Brooklyn, New York.
Yep, born and bred.
Never moved, right?
Never moved. Well, outside of college, but yes, never moved. I went to college in Washington D.C. in the late '80s, and but I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm 52. I am a content creator for GameShowNewsNet.com and A3Studios.com, which is a podcasting network a friend of mine runs. And I podcast at least 3 times a week on different subjects like game shows, wrestling, video games, and I'm also a caregiver for my military retired dad. So it's very cool.
Excellent, thank you.
And I also and when I do work on the outside, I'm a legal document researcher and also a paralegal and a notary public.
So you're busy.
And also, I'm sorry, I just want to say hello to everyone on Facebook Live and to a lot of my friends who were going to be here today. So there you go.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. So let's start early on. So I know that we've chatted before, and I've heard you speak, and to give you a little bit of background about one of the first times I really got to hear Jason speak was I was at the National Convention in Las Vegas, and Jason was actually scheduled to speak. And normally, most of the speakers at the convention talk about sweepstakes, what they won, what they haven't won. Jason put a whole different twist on it with game shows. And it was outstanding, to say the least. I mean, it was the highlight of the convention as far as speakers go. And the only bad part about it was I was scheduled to speak after Jason. And I was going up there to speak on I had won 9 trips the year before, which I thought was pretty cool. And it didn't compare to his talk. So, that's how I really got to hear you speak for the first time. So I know I probably should have started with that, but
it's okay. Go ahead.
Tell us how you got started in this whole game show craze. I know it started at a very young age, and take us back to when Jason was growing up.
Well, whenever I haven't totally grown up, according to some people. But I was born in '68, and when I was about 5 years old, I started to see these game shows, on daytime and nighttime, and I saw all the pretty lights and the big cars, and and I'm like, that would be kind of cool. And instead of me being the typical boy that would want action figures and race cars and baseball cards, I wanted the home versions of game shows, which were made by like Milton Bradley back in the day. And if I got a good report card, I would go to the local toy store. Remember, Toys R Us wasn't really big back then. And I would get things like the $20,000 Pyramid, Family Feud, Price is Right, and I would host it in my home, and for my sister and my parents, and that's how I got the love of it. And everyone jokes about having 6 days and watching Bob Barker when I was growing up and all that stuff, and I used to do that. And remember, back in the '70s, there used to be like 27 game shows on at one point.
Wow.
Between NBC, CBS, ABC, and all that stuff. So there were a lot of shows which you can see on like Buzzer and other retro game show channels. So I
mean,
had a love of game shows from a long time.
I remember being sick, staying home, watching The Price is Right, trying to guess the prices, trying to win the Showcase Showdown, sale of the century,
right?
Pressure Luck. I
Sure.
mean, those were definitely some of my favorites growing up, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. When did you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this? Because as a kid growing up, I wanted to do it, but I've never applied. I've never made any attempt. In fact, the only time I even went to be on The Price is Right, I showed up late for the line in the morning, and so I didn't even get the ticket to get potentially picked.
That's again, different era when Bob Barker used to stay all night. I have many stories. I've actually been on that night on Beverly Boulevard and Wilshire, staying out all night, waiting to be to get into the Price is Right tapings. And that was after I was ineligible to be on the show because, many different times. But I decided as soon as I was legal, 18, I wanted to do it. And it only took me 4 years to get on my first show, which was Turn It Up, which was 22. It was taped here in New York. It was a music trivia game show. And I had found out that there was going to be a test in New York, somewhere around Rockefeller, right around Rockefeller Plaza. No, it was a Rockefeller or Columbus Circle. I forget which. And I took the test, and I knew I aced it. And they called me back, and they said, "Come on, you want to go on?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then that was it. I was done.
You show up that day. You go through the taping. Do they do the whole green room and treat you like a star?
You mean the first? Well, first of all, it's different. In back then, remember it was 1990. Like I said, I had auditioned, and then they said, "Okay, you come in." So they come in separate. You bring your clothes. You change into your clothes, and they keep the contestants separate. And they have production assistants. By the way, around one of the production assistants is a good friend of mine, believe it or not. And so what happens is they keep you separate, and they wait until your game is. They bring you on. They don't treat me like a star because remember, you're just a contestant at that point. This was not
right
Millionaire, because Millionaire was a whole different story.
And we'll get to that. So you go on Turn It Up, and you did okay. You won a few things, right?
I won an 8mm video camera. Back in the those bulky things you hold in your hand, right? I won some stereo speakers, some bicycles, a cassette deck, and I missed a Mustang 5-liter by one question. Story of my life. I have not won a car in my 52 years of existence, and I have tried on game shows, on sweepstakes, never won a car. Zero.
And was that still the closest you ever got to winning a car?
No, actually. Now that I think about it, in 1994, I was part of a key turn for a Mustang convertible for a local radio station. And I actually got to turn the key. I actually still have the key here somewhere. It was for a 1995 Mustang GT convertible. And I was like 10 away. I was 10 ahead of the winner. And it was pretty cool. So I've had 2 opportunities at a Mustang. Nope, 0. Nope.
I have not done a key turn yet. That is on my list. I would
really
like to.
With all the wins you've had, you've never had a key turn.
But I've won a truck.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, the Cleveland Browns. Well, yes. Yeah. Pardon me.
So, but I've never done a key turn. So
no.
One of these days. But so then from there, I mean, you were on Wheel of Fortune.
I was on Wheel of Fortune. I won $1,500. The wheel got me. And I'm like, all right, fine. You know, I've done 2 shows. You know, I couldn't get on Price is Right. I couldn't, you know, and again, this was the early 90s. And then 7 years later, in 1999, little show on ABC debuts called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And at the first time in November of 1999, they had a 900 number. You couldn't call, I'm sorry, in August of 1999, backing up just a little bit. In August of 1999, they had a 900 number which funded the prizes back then. And for some reason, I had a 900 number, you know, was blocked at my house, so I couldn't play. November 1999, I tried and qualified 6 times to get on the show because it was an 800 number. I didn't get on. So then on January 4th, 2000, the day that will live in infamy in my life, I qualify, and then before I qualify, it's like there was this sweepstakes game show mumbo jumbo magic that just happened that day. So I get a call, and for those who are on Facebook Live, from a website called iWIN.com, not iWin, iWIN. Now iWIN.com was run at the time by CBS.com, and it was an interactive site where every time you did a search, this was before Google, before any of the search engines back in the day, they gave away $10,000 a day, $1 million at tax time, and $1 million a month and $10 million at tax time, right? So I get a call, and I answer the phone. I go, hi, this is Jason Block. They go, oh, this is so-and-so from iWIN.com. And I'm like, wait, you know, the brain, you know, clicks. I go, don't tell me I just won $10,000. They go, Jason, you just won $10,000. Now, my dad was still working, was taking a nap. He was a teacher. My grandmother was still alive. And I go, Dad, in this exact voice, Dad, I just won $10,000 from iWIN.com, in that pace of a voice. And Dad said, I must be dreaming. He's telling me this. I go, it's for real. I get the paperwork, I sign, I win $10,000 that day from CBS. The irony of that is that same reaction was recorded. I had to go down to CBS Interactive Studios and sign a contract because they wanted to use it in a radio commercial. That same year, that first year, I got paid residuals as a radio guy because they played the commercial on all the CBS owned and operated radio stations. So I made an extra $5,000 from iWIN.com and CBS Interactive from that commercial. So I made a total of $15,000 from them.
I mean, nothing like turning a win into another win.
Exactly. So 3 hours later, I got a call from ABC, and they said, you had made the playoffs from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I said, great. Never had that happen before. What do I
So,
have to do?
so when you qualified, when you say you qualified, you call up and you got the
They
questions
did okay.
right.
What
That's
happened?
what makes
Okay,
you qualify, right?
let me go back because it's a different story now. I'm sorry to interrupt. At the time, you had 5 fastest finger questions to answer, and you had to do it in the fastest amount of time within a group of, say, 50, I think. Okay, and I think it was 50 back in the day. I honestly don't remember. I think it was 50. So then that group of 50 gets that call to the next day. You have to call in and do another set. And then you get down to the 10. If you get 10, you have to they will get you to ABC Studios. Or actually, I got to ABC Studios. I think they sent a car. I don't remember. I think they sent a car. They also, remember back in the day, they also flew people in as well. And they said, okay, if you make it to the 10, we're going to set you up. And sure enough, on January 9th, I played the playoffs in January, and they said, you win. We're going to set you up. You're going to tape the next day, January 10th and 11th, 2000. I go to ABC Studios, and they say, okay, so let me put this into perspective. They taped the show 24 hours in advance. This was not like the way they do it now. They tape it in advance. I get to the studio, you go through security, and they put you in a room. And remember, they confiscated any material you had, newspapers, radios, to make sure that there was no outside interference at that point for any electronic device, to the point where if somebody wanted to go to the bathroom, someone went with you and went into the bathroom to check if there was anyone there planted, so that they would not give you any answers. They checked the bathroom. I was expecting someone to, just stay with me, if you know what I mean, jokingly, And so then they call you in, and it's a whole thing. First of all, you sign your image away in perpetuity for any images that AT&T uses. Then they had a lawyer go in and explain all the rules and things like that. Then we are fed lunch in the ABC cafeteria on West 66th Street, which was where this was. And then you are taken down into the studio, which was so small, right? Totally small. And I get in there, and then they rehearse, because back in the day you had the fastest finger, which means you had to get that type of question to qualify to get into the hot seat, right? So at that time there were 2 people, myself and some other guy, who were winning all the fastest finger battles. And my brain is going, it's going to be him or me when we go. All right. So the taping is there. I'm ready. I'm nervous. I'm by myself for night 1. I just did, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Was I going to bomb? Was I going to, what was I going to do?
Do you have I remember watching this growing up and watching the show when it came out, and you do, if you're like myself and have a competitive nature, you think about what you would do, and I always thought, well, if I was in there, I would just have, like, I am going to go BCDE, or BCDA, and that's what I'm going to do regardless of what it is, because if I think about it too long, I wouldn't potentially get it. Did you have any sort of strategy like that, or you're going to go, hey, you know what? My brain thinks like this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it quick.
When I was looking at it, if I'm going to know the answer, I believe my answer was setting landmarks in the right area. I think, like I said, it's been a while since I watched the episode. I should have, in preparation for this, but hey, but once I got it and I knew I was right, and they have this camera that's pointed at you, and you see your name in lights, I shot up like a rocket. It was like lightning was right in the seat because no one had done that before. No one had done that before. Modestly speaking, I changed the behavior of what a contestant does. You know, there was an energy level that was there.
And for those who haven't seen the tapes, I posted the link to the one which links over to Jason's YouTube videos, but you can actually go back and watch the episodes and some of the clips. They're really cool. If you've never seen them before, definitely watch them. The only thing I want to interrupt you one thing and say, some of you guys I noticed have commented like connection problems or freezing or sound. I know there's weather in certain parts of the area. My connection's really good. I don't know, I can't speak for Jason's, but my
connection is very good from what I'm seeing here.
Worst case scenario, this tapes and then it gets posted, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. So okay. Anyways, so you are now, you've shot up, you're in the hot seat with Regis.
I'm in the hot seat, and I'm like, you know what? Let's have some fun. So I'm chit chatting with Regis. I'm talking about wrestling. I'm talking about just stuff in general. I'm just having a good time. I say, I'm reacting to the audience because it's a New Yorker in the seat. There's a lot of New Yorkers there. This was a big thing, right?
And the show was hugely successful at the time.
I'm going to give you a fact as soon as I'm done with the story of the second day, etc. So, and I'll make it quick because I know we've got a lot necessarily to cover here. First day, I get to 16,000. And I ask a friend, what's the talking about the type of trees that the leaves fall every year, and it's deciduous. So I make $16,000 and I go home. So I have a conference with my grandmother and my dad. And
like a strategy conference?
Yes, a strategy conference for real. Because I'm taping the next day. They go, what do you do? Because so they say, if you don't know, run, get out and take the money. So one thing that they first of all, they asked for my grandmother and my girlfriend to be at the show. So my sister gets up and the next, and dresses her. We get there, my girlfriend, and they treat my girlfriend and her like rock stars. Okay. What I haven't told most people is what they wanted to do is that they wanted to actually do a marriage proposal on air. And I'm like, no way. I'm not going to do that. It first of all would be unfair, not cool. And it wasn't honest. Okay. So I get to the $32,000 question. How many Supreme Court justices are there? Nail it. So I've got that. $64,000 question. What's Tiger Woods' real name? Eldrick. Got that. $125,000 question. Who is the discoverer of the Pacific Ocean? Francisco Balboa. So I've got two lifelines. The 50-50 and ask the audience. And I'm thinking, I may win this whole thing. I may win it all. And I want to be that guy, right? So I get to 200.
They had not had a millionaire at that point?
No, they had one. I don't think John. I'd have to look when John Carpenter did it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I know he won it in. I'm just trying to see when he won it, just so I know. Oh no, he won it first in November. I wanted to be the second. Okay, he was the first guy. I wanted to be the second, and
It's still $1 million. It's still $1 million.
Still $1 million. So I see the $250,000 question, and I see, who's the first woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Aretha Franklin, Janis Joplin, Diana Ross, Carole King. I knew Carole King had just got it originally. And the one that threw me was Diana Ross because she had been in it twice as a member of the Supremes and solo. So the mistake I made was I asked the audience first and they split in a different way. It was Aretha Franklin, Janis Joplin. Then the 50-50 was Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross. Little did I know they were giving me the 250. But at that time, I was in student loan debt. I just said, you know what? Thank you very much. Thank you for treating me as well as you did. I'm out of here. So I win $125,000. And as I'm walking off stage, I'm handed a card by a press agent named Patrick Preblick, who is the press agent now for the 92nd Street Y. She says, you're going to need this. I go, why? She goes, trust me, you're going to need this.
And,
so I get.
And for those who don't know, Jason skipped over a lot of the show, obviously, because of time tonight, but go back and watch the show and you'll know why Jason needed this card. He was entertaining.
I was just having fun, and my grandmother, who was 100 years old at the time, got to see me do this. Okay, that was the brilliance of it. I got to see it. My girlfriend got to see it, and so I find out that my episodes, and to this day, I am the highest rated non-celebrity episode in the history of Millionaire. 33 million people watched my 2 episodes. It beat the season premiere of ER that year. I can hold that over George Clooney's head. So then all of a sudden, I remember this was before Facebook, before Twitter, before everything, stuff blew up.
If I ever get to interview George Clooney, I'm going to ask him that question. You know what show you lost to?
Yeah, I know. I do. So things blew up like crazy. Okay. I get calls from around the world. I get in, and with all that, and again, I'm trying to save it up. I get interviewed by USA Today, E! Entertainment Television, a British show called Tonight with Trevor McDonald flew in, interviewed me. I got a radio show. I got a radio gig out of this. It was insane. And so then Rosie O'Donnell says, I want him on my show. Made multiple appearances with her. I go to restaurants. I'm being recognized instead of Richard Belzer. Supermarkets, they go, he shops here, and it was just a crazy, crazy ride. And the ride continues a year later. While as my eligibility expires, I get picked for Jeopardy. And in February 2001, I fly out there, and I become a 4-day champion. Hence the shirt. Okay.
So they give you a shirt when you win?
No, you can buy it at Macy's. This is just a shirt that but the thing is that I can wear it. Some other people can't. You can check the records.
That's funny.
And I miss winning a car because they had the 5-day limit by one question. Again, that's the third. I'm sorry, that's the third time. It was a Tahoe SUV, Chevy Tahoe SUV. The category was health and medicine. It was like this, this chronic illness causes 1 in 6 sick days and 10 million hospitalizations, emergency room visits for elementary school children. I thought it was chicken pox. They go in. It was actually asthma, but I won $36,701, and I got to be on Jeopardy. And then a few years later, I did a couple of other shows like Catch 21, Let's Ask America, and Cash Cab. But yeah, I've done 7. It's been an amazing run.
So, has anyone else been on Wheel of Fortune, Millionaire, Jeopardy? I mean, those are 3
big no, there
are
people. Yeah, sure. There are a lot of people who have, believe it or not, 7 is a low number for some people. Okay.
Wow. So it's kind of like in the sweepstakes world where you have some people who've won hundreds of trips and other people
there's a guy called the Game Show Guru whose name is Scott Hostetler. He's been on like 25 of them over the years, and remember, game shows have been around since the 1940s. Okay. Game shows almost died in the 1950s due to the 21 and the Charles Van Doren scandal. By the way, just for anyone who remembers the coughing scandal on the British Millionaire, They're doing a mini series this Sunday night on AMC called Quiz. It'll be on the AMC channel. Check that out. So yeah,
Oh.
so that
So
pretty good stuff.
So a couple people are asking on Cash Cab. Cash Cab is kind of pre-arranged, correct?
Semi prearranged. Okay. What had happened was is that a friend of mine and I auditioned for what was at the time a different show that they had set it out to be. Because when we were there, when we made the Cash Cab, we were told to meet at a certain place and someone will take us to the next destination. I'm like, okay. We had no idea. We did not believe that we were going to be on Cash Cab. We had no idea. So
you think you're going somewhere else.
right. And then they go, hey, you're in the Cash Cab. And what happens is that they stop, you sign documentations, you recreate the entrance, and then you play the game.
I got you. How'd you do it?
Yeah.
How'd you do on Cash Cab?
We split $1,400.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So obviously game shows are a huge part, and I wanted to bring you on because it's the competitive nature of sweepers and people who like game shows. I think it really translates well. But you also enter sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm. I've been doing it for 25 years. Free stuff, I say jokingly. All joking aside, but it's the idea of winning stuff that you would never win if or never could afford to do. Like for example, in 1999, I got to go to London on British Airways. It was a public contest where I had to dress as a traveler of the future. And what happened was is that there was a rainstorm and a movement of location. Instead of 1 in 500, it was 1 in 74, and they were giving away 50 trips, and they had to give away all 50. So instead of 1 in 10, I was basically 1 in 1.5, and I won a trip to London. I've been to the Super Bowl. I've played poker in prison with Amstel Light. It's crazy.
Go back, because I haven't heard this one. Poker in prison.
Yes.
Enlighten us.
Okay. In 2004, I won a second chance trip to play poker for $25,000 in Amsterdam. But we also got to go see the Heineken factory and all that stuff. But the cool thing was that where we played was the Holland Casino, which was built in the building of a prison. The building is a prison, but it's now a full-fledged casino. And it was very cool. It was great. It was absolutely terrific. That was one of my favorites because I got to take a friend of mine and we it was 5-star all the way. It was great.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong on this, but I think I remember you winning a trip with Wheat Thins.
Yes, this was a fantastic.
So I had just started sweeping then.
I
was new to this. I mean, I was maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years in. I was rather new to sweeping.
Sure.
And I remember entering for that trip. And then I remember you winning the trip. And then I remember meeting you at a convention. So tell us about that trip.
That was a great trip. That was actually my second most valuable trip outside of a Disney trip I won in 2017 and took in 2018. But I got to take my dad. And I have a dad trip story in a second.
Okay.
So in 2011, I entered this all the time, and I got to take it, and it was a 5-day, 4-night trip for 4, but it would turn out to be 3, and we got $800 each in spending money, and what happens is that we got to see the Final Four in the $25,000 hardwood suite.
Right, the basketball court suite.
Yeah, in the Palms Hotel. And rock star treatment all the way. But last year, I got to go see a fight. with my dad. It was the Canelo Alvarez Jacobs fight, courtesy of Adam Tickets and all that stuff. And what happens is that we I get the notification. It was a one-time thing on Facebook. I threw my name in a hat, and they said, "You won." So my dad's sitting next to me. He goes, "I want to go." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I want to go." So I'm like, "Are you sure about this?" He goes, "Yeah, I want to go." So we get $1,000 gift card, $1,200 seats in the fight. And since I had a $250 hotels.com gift card, we did not stay in, shall we say, the most luxurious hotel in Vegas. But we flew in on a Friday night, saw the fight, came back Sunday morning, had a random act of kindness where my dad's lunch was paid for. And we got to see the whole fight from the club fighters and all that good stuff to the main event where 20,000 screaming fans were there for Canelo. It was great.
Nice.
It was
So,
fun.
so I mean, obviously, you just like myself, you had some crazy experiences. What is the not the game show win, not the cash win? What is your favorite, I guess, sweepstakes win you have?
Oh wow. Because that's very interesting. Because I've had many, but they're significant for different reasons. You see. I've entered. What I love about sweepstakes is like entering for others and winning for others. I have entered multiple times and won prizes that have meant a lot to others at a specific moment in time. I don't necessarily want to share that because I think that's a little personal per se.
Sure.
But in that respect, yes. I have one of the great wins because my girlfriend works incredibly hard. There was a local win here in New York where they had a spa day courtesy of Ford, and it was like $800 a spa credit. So her and her girlfriend, who both work very hard, got a full spa day here in Brooklyn, which was really nice. Let's see, I've been to London. I've been to London to see, James Brown, Red Hot Chili Peppers play in Hyde Park for 80,000 people, which was crazy.
At Hard Rock, was that Hard Rock Live?
No, that was visitlondon.com.
Okay. I went to Hard Rock Live. That was the only reason I asked that when you said Hyde Park.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen a concert there myself on a trip.
Yeah. Let's see. Like I said, it's just to me, it's about winning the stuff personality wise. It was just it's personal. The stuff that's personal. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's like I entered Rent-A-Center and won a laptop for my girlfriend. Recently, my most recent big win was I won an Ellen contest and won like $2,000 worth of stuff. And I got to treat myself a little bit, which I don't usually do when I sweep. I try to, I like to win stuff for me, but I want to see if I kind of sweep for others. And it's really crazy because to me, sweeping is one of for me as a control freak, 99% of the sweeps you enter, you lose, but it's that 1% that you win. It outweighs all that,
Sure. No, I fully understand that. So I'm going to ask you two forms of advice for people, and then we'll take some questions.
Sure.
Obviously, you have the game show piece. If I said, "Hey, Jason, I want to be on a game show," what advice do you give me? What advice do you tell people?
Wow. Well, there's a few things. First of all, number one, know the show you want to be on. Okay. If you're good at trivia, you'll be on Jeopardy. If you're good in groceries, Price is Right. And if you're, Let's Make a Deal, it's an energy thing, But with the coronavirus, and again, I'm going to focus on this. all the major game shows have social media websites. Look for those because they will, their Facebook pages, their Twitter pages, their Instagram pages. Look at their pages to see when they're auditioning, and look at the social media pages where they are. Go to a site like mine, which is Game Show Newsnet. We talk about things like this, and a lot of other also basic cable shows like Game Show Network have casting notices and things like that. But again, getting back to COVID-19 and coronavirus, right now the game show world is in flux, as is in the sweepstakes world is in flux. We don't know when taping is going to resume right now because Price is Right was, all the major shows are on hiatus right now until we get out of this crazy lockdown pandemic that's going on. So right now, I would continue. First of all, also you're on Jeopardy. You could take the test anytime now. You could take the test anytime online, which is great. Things like that, just to be aware of that sort of thing. Okay, just look, be aware of who you are, know your strengths, and look at the social media pages. That's what I would look at. Right, that's what I would say.
And some of you guys are asking for Jason's site and the links and stuff. Jason, if you can send me those, I'll be happy to share.
Oh, I would. Oh, sure, absolutely. I
will.
Yeah, but the main site again is GameShowNewsNet.com is the big site. I will send that to you. The podcast that I do is We Love to Interrupt. It gets updated as quickly as as can, because unfortunately the editor is dealing with a lot of stuff. But when more recent, you can hear about what we cover. We cover all the shows, all the game and reality shows that are out there, like America's Got Talent, Jeopardy, Price is Right, all that good stuff.
And then for sweepstakes, I mean, you've been entering sweepstakes for longer than I have.
25 years, yeah.
And I like asking people this because, as you and I both know, everyone sweeps for different reasons. But in your opinion, what is your advice to anyone who wants to get involved with sweepstakes, and more importantly, wants to win sweepstakes?
Okay. First of all, and to everyone out there, do not listen to the haters, okay? Because there are haters out there. And we still get them in 2020. You don't win stuff for free. No, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as that. Okay. Again, we are now in a social media era. I was in there when it went into it was more, I would say, when I came in, it was about 100%, or maybe 95% mail in to 5% online, and now it's pretty much the reverse, in my opinion. But go online, go to places like, of course, your site, iWIN. Is it okay if I promote others? Is it all right if I?
Yes, you're welcome to.
Okay. Go to places like Sweep Sheets, Sweeps Atlas, Sweeties. Find the sweepstakes that you want to. Go and just don't enter. Don't just shotgun and just throw everything at the wall. Be focused in what you enter, because remember, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. Enter for the things you want. Like, I'm in New York. I will never enter for a boat. Okay. Also, look for the sweepstakes that are local. Local sweepstakes are easier to win, usually. And just enter. Just do it. Dive in. The worst you can do is lose. But you know what? There's the way I always think about it is that it's always a new day. There's new hope. There's new opportunities to win. And that's the way I feel about it. Always new hope.
And I can echo Jason on the fact that 99% of the sweepstakes you're going to enter, you're not going to win.
No, you're not.
Most people win about 1 in every 1,000, so 1/10 of 1%. I try and win about 0.5% of what I enter. That's what I talk about.
And but the thing is, but if you hit that bullseye, and you hit that one, boom, It's gonna be epic. You'll hit something that you're like, really? I won that? And you're like, you know, I get to go to Yankee Stadium and see the Mets play, you know, or I get to go to a Broadway show, or you get to eat at a place that you normally don't eat at, something
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, there's just a ton of things out there, and speaking for Jason as well as myself, both of us have been so blessed by just amazing experiences and prizes over the years.
Oh, sure,
I do want to take some questions,
sure.
so go ahead and you guys can fire off some questions in here. We'll answer a few questions. Some of you guys have asked if you can rewatch this. Yes, any of the lives I do, once they're done, they upload, and they're usually available within a couple minutes. So yeah, go ahead and fire off some questions. Somebody I know asked if you would ever go on Mental Samurai.
Well, here's the problem with a lot of the stuff. Because I work for it. Well, work is a relative term. Because I write for a game show website, I have contacts within the industry, and it is really hard for me to say, oh, I can go on this show, because a lot of the people that I know and are very good friends of mine work on the same shows, and you can't go on the shows that are employing friends of mine, because that's called collusion, and you can't do that. You have to have every appearance of propriety and legality. Like, for example, I cannot go on Let's Make a Deal because one of the friends of mine is an executive producer on the show. Can't do that. Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, I can't go on. I even can't go there. It's always a one and done. That sort of thing. And Price is Right. A friend of mine works in the electronics department, so I can't go. So it's really hard for me to go on shows now these days.
What is your favorite current game show?
Oh, wow. That's tough, because a lot of the shows that I love Jeopardy because I play it every night. It keeps my mind sharp. And Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal are both fantastic shows for both the entertainment value and the prize value.
Do you have like a game show right now that you're like, hey, if I really want to get on this, and you're actually maybe even trying to get on one?
Honestly, no, to be honest, and it's sad because I've resigned myself to the fact that I don't think I can get on one. And it's just because of the way things are these days. And that's okay. It's sad. It's sad, but I know I would kick major behind on most of them, but that's okay. It's all right. I've resigned myself to that fact.
Have you ever? I know you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to or won a trip to WrestleMania?
I've been to 2 WrestleManias. I was at WrestleMania 20 and I was WrestleMania 29. I did not win a trip to any of them. Because they were both local. 20 was at Madison Square Garden, 29 was at MetLife Stadium, and I paid for tickets and got both. But that's a WWE is also a fun one, and again, that's going to be very interesting to see depending on where that goes. Okay.
WrestleMania is on my list, just as a sports fan who likes
that
to
would have been
attend
great.
the big
You know what?
events.
You could have gotten it because if it was in Florida, but
Right. And it's Tampa. I mean, and there were some ticket only ones. I really thought I had a good chance this year. Does Jeopardy give you any suggestions to study?
I hear that all the time.
How do you prepare for Jeopardy?
Wow. Okay. First of all, number one, the rumor du jour is that they do not give you any study material whatsoever. You're not told what to study or anything like that. Okay. There are 2 things I always did. First of all, I practiced every night. I was watching Jeopardy. At the time I videotaped it and I watched it every night. And the second thing is that the best, you know what the best study guide is to Jeopardy? Life. What I mean by that is listening to music, watching TV, reading books, staying up on the news, inhaling information like a sponge. Because you don't, to me, the best study guide for all game shows when it comes to trivia is life. Because you have to experience it to know it. You know, if you hear a Post Malone song, for example, and then you'll know who, then, you know, Austin Posty is Post Malone, or something like that. You have to just keep driving home that sense of knowledge and wanting to know stuff. And, you know, my dad was a teacher for 50 years. He drilled that into me.
Is there a game show that like you would recommend, say, you know, that's one of the easier ones to get on if you just want to be on
okay. First of all, no show technically is easy per se, because with Jeopardy it's a written test and then an audition. Price is Right and Deal, you're there, and you know you have to give energy. The easier one technically, if you really want to call it that, is Price is Right and Deal, because you're there and you're being interviewed right there and you have to show energy. If you come there as a cold fish, you're not going to get picked. My best advice on that is be you, but times 10. That's the best way I would say that. Be you times 10.
Do you like The New Millionaire?
Of course I do. I mean, look, first of all, The New Millionaire is being produced by the original people, Michael Davies, the guy who did the original Millionaire, Cash Mountain back in the day. And it's also hosted by Jimmy Kimmel, who's okay. Regis passed the torch, but again, of course, I love the format. The format's great. It is what it is. You know, you know, I'd love to see them do it as a test bed. So, I mean, they're coming back for season 2 whenever they tape again. So,
a couple of people asked about Regis. Did you ever converse or talk to him after the show was done?
A few times. Well, not in the you know, hey, we had dinner sort of thing. But I went to a few public appearances. He remembered who I was. I have a Globe tabloid somewhere who basically said, you know, that I was one of his favorite contestants. So it was kind of cool. It was nice. But like I said, I will never be ungrateful to Regis and Michael Davies and the people at ABC for changing my life at that time.
Sure. Where was this one question? Have you ever tried to be on Pressure Luck?
Again, I know people. So,
Sure.
you know, never been on Pressure Luck, never been on the Card Sharks. Again, it's just I know people. And I'm a person who plays, I'm a believer in playing fair, that I would rather get on a show that I knew I could get on than just say, you know, just say, oh, I know this person and get on that way. So no, I'm not going to do that.
Somebody asked for Roscoe. Roscoe is, I have this like little studio tonight because I'm testing things for the convention. And so the door's all shut, so he can't get in.
Oh,
here,
poor Roscoe.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody asked, do you think it's easier to get on Wheel of Fortune for one of their specials like Best Friends?
Yes, in a way. If you're more selective in what you audition for, and by the way, there's also wheelmobiles and things like that. If you're selective, yes, but I would audition to see what you are, because if you know, they do teachers weeks, they do military weeks, they, you know, things like that. Because if you have a secondary story or background, that will help.
Do you have something you're hoping to win this year?
Money. Money. I would love to win a car, of course. And honestly, trips are very yeah, to me, of course, with the whole coronavirus thing. But to me, it would be cash, gift cards, computers, that sort of thing, electronics, that sort of stuff, because I feel that if I focus on that, that would help. I mean, that sort of thing, because sweepstakes are in a different world right now, and I think it's going to be effective for a while.
Sure. Um, how many hours a week roughly do you spend on sweepstakes?
That's interesting. I usually get up, have my cup of coffee, and I usually spend about 5 hours. No, wait, 7 days, 7 hours a week, usually.
Okay, so about an hour a day.
About an hour a day. Um, and again, mail-ins are different now. You know, I have an aggregate site which I use right now. I'm not gonna. I mean, I could plug it if you want me to.
I'll leave you on that one.
Okay, fine. Fine. I have an aggregate site I use, but in this particular case, um, it's just that it's easier that way for me to do that, and I do my dailies, and I feel like I've done something. And it's like, to me, it's another day. It's a new hope. It's a new beginning. Because we'll always get that no one doesn't like getting that winning email or winning text.
Sure. Let's see if we got. I know I didn't get to them all, but let me see if I got some others here. Well, this one, and I'm not going to force you to answer if you don't want to, because it's a little bit different. Is there a game show that you would be like, I do not want to be on that show?
Um, and honestly, I'm not gonna say that, because all game shows. Well, I mean, look, I'm not the most physical guy. I'll just say, but all game shows have their point. I will just say, and all game shows have their place. I'm not necessarily a fan of Family Feud, but for those who like it, sure, you know. And the thing is that game shows will always do well, no matter what. People want to win something. You notice ratings have actually gone up in game shows now, with syndicated game shows and things like that. People want an escape from all this sort of stuff, and I'm just very interested to see where sweepstakes are going to go in late 2020, early 2021, with this whole coronavirus thing. It's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think May for sweepstakes in general, from what I'm seeing, I was amazed. Like I probably posted probably 15, 20 new tech sweepstakes that almost all of them were giving like Visas, Mastercards yesterday.
Right.
And I was really surprised to see, I guess I shouldn't have been as surprised to see that. Um, Trips, I mean, I'm still seeing trips. Um, there's definitely plenty of trips out there, but some of them are giving different options. Um, but as far as like number of sweeps, it seems to May is definitely better than April.
Yes.
And again, it depends, how picky you are and what you want to enter.
And also the fact is that I think it took a month for the judging agency to say, okay, what are we going to do and where are we going to go?
Yeah, I think there's some that you can definitely tell they've changed what they were going to do. I mean, if you had a baseball sweep running, well, baseball's not playing. So do you
they may
promote it
later
or
this
keep
year.
them like
We're crossing fingers. They may be, but
Yeah, I mean, sports coming back is a big part of it. I mean,
sports is a big part. Movies are a big part, because remember, there was always a lot of movie tie-ins
sure
and a lot.
different releases,
I'm sorry.
Different movie releases. Tickets to go see them. Yeah, definitely movies are another big part that I actually failed to mention in the past.
Oh yeah, and the thing is that, like I said, I think the latter half of 2020 we're going to see a lot more monetary, a lot more cars, a lot more computers. This is just something I'm observing.
Sure, and
And
I don't disagree with that.
yep.
Well, thank you again for coming on here. I know everyone loved it. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me and being part of iWIN Live. But I can't thank you enough. So I'm going to let you run. I know you are actually taping a podcast here in a little bit.
I'm actually doing my podcast tonight at around 9:30 or so. I just first of all, I want to thank everyone and to all my friends who are on there on Facebook Live. I know a bunch of people who are my friends, both in the sweeping and in the world. I want to thank you for that. And Tom, thank you always for the opportunities. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Hey, I will definitely have you back on. Hopefully, maybe we'll be in the same place, because I know our paths cross at conventions off and on. So hopefully
You know what?
soon, we'll be able to.
I would, believe me, I would love to do that. And to everyone here, and of course, by the way, iWIN is a great site as well. So,
Hey, thank you, Jason.
all right.
I have to send you out with this, but I'm going to
Of course you are.
shut you off, and I will finish up here. Thank you again. I think it's only fair that we let Aretha take us to the break there with Jason. But thanks for being on, Jason. Thank you guys for all tuning in as always. Hopefully you guys like these. I really want to do some more of these. I've reached out to some people. Some people have made suggestions for people. Some people said, hey, I'm willing to do it. So if you've done all that, don't feel like I've missed you. It's just a matter of getting them scheduled and figuring out exactly when I'm going to do them, as well as, just kind of learning the different techniques and software. I will say, though, the next one is going to be June 17th. It's a Wednesday night again. It's also going to be at 8 p.m. And we will be chatting with Miss Rachel Travis. So some of you guys know Rachel. Rachel, I can rattle off a million things that she's done, but she's a travel agent. She competed in Miss America. She was former Miss Virginia. She sings in a band, I guess you could call it. I guess a vocal group. Rachel's just done a ton of things. She's also an iWIN member. She's also big into sweepstakes. So we're going to chat with her about some of the things that she does in life. So that is going to be June 17th at 8 p.m. I'm looking forward to that. I will be back on Friday, just doing a simple iWIN Live 1 p.m. edition, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll take some of your questions. I will try and make sure Roscoe's in town and back around me, so I can have him. But some of this is in preparation for the national convention, just kind of testing out some things. If you want to check out the national convention, go to the convention part of the iWIN contest website. You can still sign up. It's going to be virtual this year. It is the week after 4th of July. So it starts on like that Wednesday and we'll go through the weekend. So check everything out. Thank you as always for your support. iWIN issue will be out tomorrow. Have a great night.